Okay, so we're out at the back shops again here at the Huckleberry Railroad, and yeah, things are really coming along. The storage building is pretty much all the way up, and all the paneling finally got done, and there's room for about 5 or 6 cars in there depending on what size they are. So now they can get everything in the building. Still got the boiler here from Quincy and Torch Lake. Gee, you know, wonder what we're gonna do with that. Anyway, we got ties stored here. A bunch of track work's been going on over the past few months, and you can see some of the old ties here. Still a good stack of new ones right here and back there to go in. But the main thing I wanted to show you is that the storage building is pretty much all done for this year. Now there's talk about them extending it further down. The rumor is that they'd want to get the whole train in here at night afterwards, but geez, you know, that's got to be a really long building. I think they, and you've heard this before probably, that they should have put over both tracks here instead of just the one. That way they could easily take a 12-car train and split it in half and park it on both tracks, and then there'd be storage down the middle for parts and stuff to go in. But again, this is the parks. We're talking about government funding here, so this is what we're getting, and it's a lot better than nothing. Yeah, things are now stored inside pretty easily. I'm gonna try not to stay next to the boiler here too long. There's a lot of wasps flying around. They probably got a nest inside now. Boy, look at them all there. But anyway, yeah, so they've been doing some grading work down here, adding some ballast. You see they've added some ballast to this track too, all the way up. But yeah, you can see all the way down. Been trying to level that off. If they do extend this building, they're going to need to do a lot more leveling. Otherwise, it's going to start sloping down. But we'll see what happens here. Personally, I like to see, like I said, take this apart, this side of the building, and build a new piece of the building. So, a whole nother bay. But, yep, we're going to go down by the shops now and take a look down there. After a long day's work, 152 sitting here next to the ramp for coal and dump ash at the pit here, and we're gonna walk through the shops in a moment. But first, I gotta talk about some stuff out here. We got East Broadtop hopper out here with a little platform on top. This is what they've been using to stand with pole saws and cut down low-hanging branches and really get the clearances up here on the right-of-way. Make sure it's all cleaned up. I wouldn't ride on that, although it is clamped down to the top of the hopper. Gonna need to do some work to the hopper eventually here, like I've said in years past. Finally, some of it's rusted out here. There's no gravel in it now for ballast or anything yet, but they've been dropping branches into it, trying to clean up around here. 571's still out here in this interesting paint job. Lots of stuff going on though. That engine's being used a lot for the maintenance out here. Number 11 over here is in pretty rough shape, but they're using that a lot for displays and stuff, carrying the rest of the flat cars. Right now it's got the weed sprayer on it. And I'm actually looking at this for another project. Actually, I joined the Friends of the Huckleberry Railroad earlier this year, and one of the big projects we had was repainting the shed here. Well, I repainted it. Most everyone else took part in taking all the trim off of it, and it had to be redone. So in the meantime, I painted all the yellow on it, and then before we put the trim back on, we painted that. We tried to match it best to the Huckleberry Railroad colors out here as possible. We got some of the trim paint left there. But yeah, it looks a lot better. We got to put new doors on it though. So I just put one coat of everything on the doors. You can see here how bad it is. It needs to be replaced. Some of that wood's pretty rotted out. But I just put a coat on it so it looked good enough for today and tomorrow. You know, real fans weekend. But the rest of the shed looks pretty good. Actually, the sides were redone a few years ago and just never repainted. But the back extension only had primer on it for the longest time. So now it matches the rest of the building. And you can see I got the trim up there on the eaves as well. So yeah, excuse me, it's looking a lot better. We got the one speeder out here today, and we got the other one in there. And it's kind of got stuff on it, but we also got the velocipede. We were supposed to have that down in the village, but we didn't have enough people to get that out today. So maybe next year, hopefully, we'll be able to demonstrate that. But this car, I think this is the one that works, but it's got a crack in the block, so it needs a lot of work to it. We don't want to run it until that happens. This is a little gas speeder, just like the one in there, belt driven. Nice little thing to have around. But yeah, they've really cleaned up the yard here the past few months. Been trying to get things all sorted and organized. So do some weed spraying. Just got the weed sprayer a few weeks ago, and of course all the parks use it. So there's only been enough to do some at a time. But it's looking a lot better out on the right of way. Number 11 here, like I said, they've offered me this project as part of the Friends, since they don't really have too big of a budget for it, to do it on the railroad's time. So I'm looking at probably doing it this next month here. As you can see, the original paint is coming off of it from 1997. I'm going to have to peel that all off and really focus on getting it cleaned up and ready for primer and then paint. The hood and the cab portion is galvanized steel, so that's really got to be cleaned off and have some clean metal primer put on that. And then the frame portion will be cleaned off and probably put some rusty metal primer on that, just because it's a heavier grade steel. So yeah, so that will be protected, and then from there I'll spray it with the colors. That is the Huckleberry colors, the yellow and the brownish maroon color. So yeah, it won't be like 571 back there. I'm not gonna paint any flames on it or anything like that, so it won't be anything crazy. And then over here you can see the boiler behind the tractor. So yeah, beyond that semi-tractor there. But yeah, lots of work going on in the last few months since they reopened, just trying to get around. Probably the biggest thing again is that shed down there, being able to put cars in. Just a whole lot of work going on here with the Friends as well as the railroad itself. We got number 12 in here, the new diesel, 1957 General Electric 50-tonner, just like what number 7 was, only that was 1952. McHugh locomotive put an extension on the ends of it and put handrails all around it so it's safer. They also put 4 steps on the sides here. The number 7 only had 2, one on each side. Number 7 got sold to the Santa Margarita Ranch in California, where the Disneyland cars are, and they have 3 steam locomotives, but they don't run. Kind of sad. So they really need number 7, even though it was unrebuilt. But that's okay. We're gonna have to see how this one does. It's actually working pretty well. There's a few things here and there that need to be fine-tuned or fixed on it, just because it's been operating in service. Got the drop table in here, nothing going on in that. But yeah, on the other side here, we got the wheel lathe with some wheel sets in it. Well, one wheel set. We got car 8 on display over here, and car 260 is in the shop having brake work done. It's been in here for a few weeks now, but Number 8 I had to come in and wipe down because no one's been in 2 years because of the pandemic. So there was no rail fans weekend last year, but I went through it and dusted some stuff off, cleaned the end windows and on here, trying to get the sills, but probably needs a whole new repaint. Again, that's not something I do since this are the railroad's revenue cars. So definitely not something that the Friends is going to be in charge of. Anyway, I'll get going through here. They're cleaning up here from the picnic. Got 464 back here. Here's 50526 in the crew quarters. Doing Christmas decorations because it goes from day to day here what they're going to decide to do. Not necessarily with the engine. We know that it's going to be rebuilt sometime in the next few years. We keep saying that. Someone said it was rumored that it wasn't going to run again. That's not true. I mean, unless they find something really wrong with it, it's going to be running out here again. Not next year, that's for sure, but sometime probably in the next within the next 5 to 10 years when they decide to get funding to rebuild it. Because 152 just got finished in 2018, and this one was overlapped with it for a year, so they ran both of them. But yeah, I'm guessing they're keeping the Christmas decorations on for now because maybe it'll be used as a display again this year. Last year they didn't run any trains, so they just had this one out on the tracks with the lights on it as a Christmas display when they were doing the drive-through viewings. That's all they were able to do last year, no trains operating. So they did that for Halloween and for Christmas. Not sure what it was for Halloween. I thought they had it out, but must have had some sort of decoration sign. We're going to go in here into the wood shop quickly. So we're in the wood shop now at the Huckleberry Railroad, and they got some timbers here being Morrison 10 for a new building down the village. It's going to be sort of like the drying shed they got down there, but they're putting it all together kind of in a kit form, and that's what all these big timbers are for in here. They got some pieces for cars in here going in. They got some doors down here. I'll show you those in a minute, but some parts to some cars. Got some brake shoes, and wouldn't you know it, they're for freight cars. Got 2 Rio Grande drop bomb gondolas in here.
What? I'm just walking. Oh, okay.
762 right there, and this over here is 711. These Rio Grande drop bomb gondolas were in Durango until 2019. They decided to sell them. So at the end of last year, 2020, they came out here as part of a deal. They must have worked out a pretty good deal. These are 1904 cars built by American Car and Foundry, although I think it was actually a subsidiary of the National Dump Car Company in Chicago. There's all the information you need to know on them. There's the schematic of what the car should look like. Kind of in a decrepit form right now. Like I said, they've been siding in Durango for 50 years. D&RGW didn't really do anything with them. This one, the doors have been, some of the doors have been taken out already. See, they're doing some work cleaning that up, trying to get the metal parts cleared off of so they can take them out. You can see the wood beam for the main beams going across here. They actually aren't too bad shape, but I don't know. They'll probably have to be replaced if they think that they won't hold anything. You see the truss rods running down here. Sorry, it's kind of dark. They turned off the lights. I thought this would show up a little bit better, but you can see there's some light down here, and that probably gives you an idea, better idea. It's kind of zoomed in. Just not a lot of space in here, but yeah. This is how cars usually show up here to Crossroads Village before they're restored to run on the Huckleberry Railroad train. Of course, these are freight cars. The only freight cars that got run on the regular train. Look at this. Oh well. Are the 2 gondolas, the for open air cars, the 20 and the 30. But these ones are a little bit bigger than those. And when they're restored here, it's probably going to be used as maintenance of way along the line, carrying gravel and fill dirt to go out of the drop bomb down doors here. So probably not going to be made into open air cars as some have rumored, although it is possible they'd have to be modified like the ones that you see like Georgetown Loop has some that are open air cars. But I don't know, they'd have to probably cut out the ends here. Of course, it'd probably be all new wood anyhow, but either way, it would make a good photo freight train with these two cars and plus the EBT hopper. So, yeah, those are really the biggest changes out here in rolling stock. Is that number 7's gone, number 5's gone, and they got new number 12, and now they got these cars. We'll see what happens. And the way they work is that the doors drop out with these levers here work on either end. They actually ratchet the doors down or up with the spindle pieces here and the chains that hold open the doors or hold them closed. So we'll see how the hardware holds up here, and hopefully in the next year we'll see these changes, that these cars will be operating or operable. I don't know if they'll be operating for Real Fans Weekend next year or not. That's usually about as long as it takes. They just started on them. They got them this past fall, getting the other projects through here. So yeah, it's gonna be a couple big projects. I think it'll be worth it once they get done. Yeah, so you see where these pieces would go into here. These all have to be chiseled out by hand. And it makes you really appreciate the kind of work that's done in this shop. And it's not just for the railroad, but for the village and for all the county parks as well. But of course, the railroad takes a priority on a lot of it. And we got some new doors going into the Rio Grande cars. Here you see the old doors, the darker finish on. You can see where they kind of wear away, where the hinges go in, and then the door trim where the window is. It's getting kind of old and decrepit, so they need to be replaced. You can see here with the window frames that fit in, how those are worn away. Of course, they try and save as much of the hardware that's good as possible. And then they make brand new doors out of the patterns. These are arch doors from the Rio Grande, so they'll go in 306, 320, and probably 260 that's in there. 306 already has the doors in it, so 320 is going to be next. And then once they get done with the brake work on 260, the Rio Grande Southern car, that should be last. I don't know if that car will run out here with the doors or not. I heard that it's supposed to be out here for Thomas. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Here's what I want to show you. An old seat, probably from one of the amusement rides that was down here, and how they made the pattern for that. You can see some pieces there. I don't know what that's for. Might be a jig for putting some of the carousel. The carousel horses were actually redone in this shop. Aside from the carousel, we also have the Ferris wheel down the village. It's actually the Venetian swing, and these are the cable guides that go into it to make it go around. And we start with an old piece here, and then from there we make a pattern out of this wood here, and they've sawn it down and sanded it into shape, and two pieces go together to make this, and this is where the cable goes into, and that wears down, and then you just replace that when that happens. But otherwise, this is pretty much a brand new piece, and it gets all primed like that, and looks really nice. They do a lot of good work in here. This is probably about as clean as you'll ever get it because of all the work that goes on. But so that's all going on, and once all that's done, they'll get focused on these cars and have them rebuilt. As you can see, there's a lot of holes in it. There's some cancer in the metal, but I think most of this is repairable compared to the wood. The wood's in pretty bad shape, but like I said, most of the wooden cars here, that's how they usually come in. You can see the doors here. This one still got to have them removed, but yeah, it's pretty bad shape in there. So I don't think they could be used as open air cars unless they cover those doors. Unless you got some unruly pasture, you just open up the doors and they fall out the bottom. But that's usually frowned upon. So yeah, okay.